Welcome to part 3. Now, things have just gotten very, very scary in Kenya because what has happened is that the NASA political party have made some demands for changes before the elections are carried out. And it seems that they have a secret weapon right in the constitution, whereby they have said that if these changes are not met, they will not go to the polls. Yeah, and the implications according to our constitution is that if NASA tell their supporters do not vote, do not go to the polls, then the most likely thing that will happen is that there will be no election. Okay, because for there to be an election in Kenya, every polling station must register some activity. Okay, people must go out and vote. Yeah, otherwise, if there's something like we get even 20 or 30 polling stations where nothing happens, people don't turn up to vote, yeah, then what would happen is that according to our constitution, there would be no elections. Okay, therefore, these threats of we're going to swear in so and so as the president are neither here nor there. That cannot happen. Okay, unless you want to swear in that president outside the constitution. Yeah, but our constitution is very clear on that. Now, this is a secret weapon which NASA seem to be using to force things so that there are changes before we go into the next polls. Okay? Now, folks, the reason why this means trouble for Kenyans is that NASA has absolutely nothing to lose. Okay? If there's no election, then what it will mean is that the term of the interim president, President Uhuru Kenyatta, will be over, and what will happen is that other arrangements will have to be made for an interim government pending the election in 90 days. That's what the constitution says very clearly. Okay? Therefore, anybody trying to use the gray area that, even if there's no election, President Uhuru Kenyatta is still the president, is not telling Kenyans the truth. Yeah, that is pure and simple. No matter how you want to twist the constitution to favor your point of view, that cannot fly. Yeah, it is true that in the law there are what people call gray areas. There's rather matters that are open to interpretation. Yes, the interpretation of the particular lawyer, yeah, which does not count because you'll have to go to court to get the court's interpretation. Okay, nobody has gone to court to get the court's interpretation, but I am advised by very, very legal minds who I respect that any court, in the country would be able to clearly say what I'm telling you, that actually the president's term cannot continue indefinitely. He cannot be the incumbent in office indefinitely. And therefore, this is an advantage for NASA in the sense that having the incumbent no longer in office will make a more level playing field. It will be easier to have free and fair elections without one of the major candidates enjoying the power and authority that comes with an incumbency, going into an election, okay? Which is much worse in Kenya because, as the Supreme Court showed us, there was a lot of hanky-panky and funny things which went on, and generally massive fraud against the Kenyan people, on August 8th, okay? So, it's very, very obvious, and it should be clear as day that definitely NASA would want to do everything in their power to ensure that the election is free and fair, that the votes are not again stolen from them, that victory, as they say, is not stolen from them. Yes, and the only way to do this is to ensure a level playing field, and if they can get the incumbent out of the way before the election, constitutionally that is, by having, ensuring that there's no election on the 26th of October, then they will easily do that, as they already is being openly displayed in the mainstream media and even in social media. Okay? So where does all this leave us as a country? In a very bad place. That's the truth. In a very bad place, because there's a saying, when elephants fight, it's the grass which gets hurt. Already the ordinary mwananchi is really suffering from this long electioneering period, which has been lengthened by the Supreme Court annulling the presidential election. Yes. So it is important for the country that we get out of this election thing as soon as possible, and we continue with our lives, okay? But what is happening on the ground suggests that this is not something that will just be forgotten that quickly and just brushed aside. It's something which is key to the NASA campaign, okay? And of course, Jubilee are standing firm, yeah? And this in this show of grandmanship, they do not want to give an inch, okay? So where does that leave us? It leaves us as a country in a very, very precarious position. Now, the situation on the ground, as I've mentioned earlier, is that Jubilee and IBC are not interested. In fact, they're opposing any changes, yeah, to our electoral system, you know, to the IBC and all those who are the elections, before you go back to the polls on 26th October. Yeah. So what that means is that NASA have now no option but to make good their threats, yeah, and ensure there's actually no election in Kenya on October 26th, yeah, because that's what will favor them. That leaves the Kenyan people in a mess. It leaves all of us in a mess, and it's impossible to predict what's going to happen next. But I'll try my best to keep you ahead, to always give you a heads up of what's coming to the best of my ability. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.